Hey class, so I'm going to continue talking about style and language, which is taken from chapter 9 of your textbook. I want you to understand that the material that I'm going to discuss here is basically a summary of the chapter 9. So there are many details from chapter 9 that may not be covered in this mini lecture. And I do want to encourage you to actually read the material of chapter 9 because many of the terms that appear there, I'm going to ask in the quiz 4 as well as in final exam. So yes, please make sure you read chapter 9 as well as chapter 13. All right, let's start from the beginning. So in this chapter, we're discussing about style. And at the beginning of the chapter, the author provided different definitions of style according to Aristotle and Plato, and then later on Cicero. So Aristotle used the Greek word lexis, which literally means word to describe style. So his understanding of style is very focused, narrowed, and limited. But other scholars interpret it as the way or manner in which one said something. So it's not only about the choice of words, but also how the words are said. So more specifically, it is about word choice and diction as well as the delivery of those words. Now, many years later, the Roman orator had a more expansive view of style. According to him, one cannot easily separate what one says from how one says it. So when you're thinking about style, I know that in 5 canons of rhetoric, we're talking about how style is only about choices of words or word choice or diction. But here, I do want you to pay attention to how you actually say those words as well. That's why chapter 9 usually goes hand in hand with chapter 10, which talks about style, language, and delivery. But because of the limited time that we have for this semester, I would like to just focus on chapter 9. All right, so the next part is talking about modern day understanding of style. So there's this scholar, Barry Brummett, who helped us make better sense of style by anchoring the concept to personhood. So style here has moved beyond words and it has expanded to include how each one of us presents our person to the world. So you will understand that the way student A speak about one subject is going to be completely different from the way student B talk about it. The way I talk about something and the way another public speaking teacher talk about this will totally be different. So this idea of style encompasses not simply what we say and how we say it, but also how we look and even how we move. Yeah. So the tone of voice that we use, the way we present ourselves as we're talking about this subject, they're all about this idea of personhood. So in other words, everybody has his or her own style that is unique to that person. So style is implicated in our disposition or the perception of our character. Our disposition refers to what others perceive to be the inherent qualities of your person. So you can become more aware of your style, and to some extent you can also craft and control it. And I see a lot of actors and actresses, they always have different style whenever they're taking on different roles. So you understand how you can actually craft and control your style. And a high awareness of one style is described by sociologists as impression management. So, how you manage your impression towards others is called this idea of impression management. So, how to manage your style? One way to do it is by adapting our language. So, you consider these questions. One, is my audience familiar or unfamiliar to me? Because you know that the way you are going to present yourself to a familiar audience is going to be different from to an audience that you're not familiar with. Am I an outsider or an insider? And this is meaning that if you're familiar with the group of people that you're presenting, then most likely you're part of that group as well. You belong to that group. And if you belong to that group, then you're an insider. But if you are a speaker who came for the day to talk to specific audience who that speaker is not familiar with, most likely that person is an outsider delivering information to the audience. And then the question is, should I be formal or informal? So this public speaking class, because this is an academic public speaking class, it asks for you to be formal in a way that your speech needs to be structured. You're not allowed to, swears or anything like that. But at the same time, there's that tone of informality that you can also inject to make sure that your speech is relatable to your audience, who now is more than just classmates or peer. You kind of know each other better after spending more than 10 weeks with this this same group of people. So all of this determine the decisions that you're going to choose to deliver the topic that you have. Yeah, so these three questions are also important when you're thinking about how to manage your style. And then you need to consider rhythm and word choice. Here we're going to talk about the importance of using vivid language. I do want you to open your chapter 9 and read about what is vivid language, because I'm going to ask questions at the end of this mini lecture for the lecture check questions. And then also think about the use of repetition and rhythm. Everybody has their own style when they're speaking, and everybody choose different words and choose different rhythm when they deliver their speech. So I want you to pay attention to this, as well as the use of figures of speech. Yeah, there are 3 figures of speech that are discussed in your book, and I do want you to read them and pay attention to them so that you understand the meaning of each of them. So here, this is my final slide before the lecture check question, is basically tips on speaking style. So whenever you're presenting your speech, please make sure that you dress appropriately for the speaking situation. For instance, I know that today I'm going to record a mini lecture series, so I'm not wearing on my hoodies or my tattered top or things like that. I want to look nice because I want to make sure that I respect my audience, which is you, and that I dress appropriately for this speaking situation. And then present your best and most confident self. You want to make sure that you project your voice so that your audience can listen to you, and you want to make sure that you look friendly and you look confident so that the audience believe that, ooh, this person really knows what he or she is talking about. Choose words that not only reflect your expertise but also relate to the audience. Yeah, you don't want to use words that are going to confuse your audience. You want to be relatable to them. You want to show goodwill. So that's why you're going to choose words that everybody can understand. Select words that help you establish a rhythm appropriate for the occasion. Use vivid language, repetition, and other artful language choices when appropriate and possible. The reason why chapter 9 is very much closely related to chapter 13 is because in special occasion speech, especially for specific types of speeches, you want to make sure that you portray vivid, you use vivid language to portray a very sharp image in the audience mind, especially, for instance, if you're delivering a wedding toast, or if you're giving a valedictorian speech, or if you want to deliver a eulogy. Yeah, so you understand why the use of language and your style is very important, particularly for this type of speech. And then last but not least, you want to avoid using technical jargon, bias, sexist language, and use of slang in your speech. All right, I hope that sum up chapter 9 nicely. I still want you to read chapter 9 so that you understand better all the key concepts that I touch here in this mini lecture. And last but not least, I have lecture check questions. So here I wrote, to enhance or amplify your speech's meanings and feeling, you need to think about evocative or vivid language, which refers to word choices that evoke vivid images and vibrant feelings in the minds of your audience. So for this exercise, I want you to describe one object. Yeah, you choose one object. It can be a picture, a food, I don't know, a taco, a burrito, a car, an animal, a person, an experience, using vivid language. So your description should not be too long. It should be 5 sentences or less. And after you are done describing your object, comment on two of your classmates' descriptions. Provide feedback and or questions to their descriptions. Yeah. So this is a good exercise to get you going in using vivid language when you're describing something that is meaningful to you. All right, basically that's it for today. I hope these 2 mini lecture videos have been helpful for you to understand Chapter 9 and Chapter 13. Thank you, everyone.